Welcome to this video about the solution SAP S for HANA Utilities extension for meter-to-cash processes by PROLOGA. After presenting the tremendous value in previous videos, this solution brings every day to thousands of meter readers worldwide. We will today start diving deeper and highlight the easy setup and backend configuration for the application. That said, this video will target not end users of the application, but administrators or implementation partners as audience. The deep integration into SAP for utilities enables a reliable and accurate process of reading, billing, and invoicing on-site. It uses the same validation, billing, and invoicing rules as defined in the backend system and synchronized into the Mobile Onsite Billing solution. SAP S for HANA Utilities extensions for meter-to-cash processes by PROLOGA interfaces with a series of mobile devices. Installed at your company, these units form the interface between the meter reader and your SAP backend system. While previous video courses focused on the benefits of using SAP S/4HANA Utilities extensions for meter-to-cash processes by PROLOGA, we now start with this course explaining the how to get started, highlighting the simple steps to get the product running in your system. At the end of this course, you will know the two major foundation blocks: how to install on-site billing in the backend, and which basic settings and master data are necessary to perform an online meter reading. We will start with showing the right place to get all information needed. Then we look quickly into the system landscape and high-level architecture used in this course. Before we dive into the installation process, you'll learn all about prerequisites to install the add-on correctly. Finally, we look into the configuration needs and start with the backend configuration. A quick outlook to the next video will end today's course. Best way to find the relevant information is using the SAP Help webpage. On that page, simply type PROLOGA and it will show you a list of all available documentation from us. Make sure to download the correct material for our solution SAP S/4HANA Utilities extensions for meter-to-cash processes by PROLOGA. The installation guide as well as the configuration guide, since these are the two documents used in this course. I highly recommend using two screens when doing the following steps. One screen shall show the SAP GUI and the other one should show the documentation PDF. This will enable you to copy and paste several transactions or form names into the SAP GUI, preventing typing mistakes and saving you time. In addition, you may also want to check the user guide and the sizing guide. The second one is helpful to understand required resources to operate the solution efficiently. Let's first have a short glimpse into the system landscape architecture. The add-on is written in ABAP and runs on top of SAP S/4HANA for Utilities. That means it will be installed in customer's SAP system and requires no additional server or database components. Through implementation of the PROLOGA software, there are two different architecture opportunities available: one or two system architecture. This course, as well as the previously mentioned documentation, will solely focus on the two system architecture. This means two separate SAP systems where an interface will be used to provide the communication between the PROLOGA middleware and your SAP backend system. Therefore, we also look only into the configuration required in the SAP ISU CCS backend system. Before you can install the PROLOGA add-on, you must ensure that at least the shown business functions are activated. All of them are needed to allow customers benefit from the PROLOGA solution. Ensure that your SAP system uses at least patch level 100 of the 64-bit Unicode kernel 773. A higher kernel patch level would be even more suitable, of course. Ensure that you have imported the latest Spam Saint update in your system, at least version 74 of Spam Saint version 7.53. Check whether your system meets the following prerequisites, which are also to be interpreted as minimum requirements. For example, higher support package levels are allowed and even recommended. Just in case, let me quickly show you how to check if these mentioned elements are installed already. To verify the activated business functions, go to the SAP GUI and type SFW5 into the command field. In the new view, you can review the name column to identify the mentioned functions and check its status. In case these are not activated, you need to activate them. For the software component versions, click in your SAP GUI on System and then Status. In the new dialog box under SAP System Data, click on the magnifying glass. Here, in the new dialog box, you can now check the installed versions for SAP Basis, S4 Core, SAP ABA, S4 CRM, SAP GWFND, and so on. Next thing to check is if the required SAP nodes were implemented correctly so that the SAP S4HANA Utilities extensions for meter-to-cash processes by PROLOGA can be installed on S4HANA without any problems. These nodes contain reference corrections with validity for S4HANA 1909 and S4HANA 2020. When installing on S4HANA 2020, these nodes must be installed before installing the add-on. Also, if converting from S4HANA 1909 to S4HANA 2020, these nodes must be installed before converting on S4HANA 2020. Alternatively, you can install the service pack levels in your system according to this table, depending on your S4HANA version. This will ensure the basis for the SAP S4HANA Utilities extensions for meter-to-cash processes by PROLOGA. Again, let's check together. In SAP GUI, we go to System and then Status. We click on the magnifying glass and search for ISUT. We find it towards the bottom of the column and see the release number 806, which is higher than 804 or 805. So we are good. If the number is smaller on your system, please install the correct service pack for your S4HANA version. With this, we've completed the installation prerequisites and can now start the installation process. For this, please log on to the computer on which the transport directory is located, as one of the users shown here. Then, go to the transport directory of your SAP system. You can start transaction AL11 and select dir_trans to display the transport directory. Open an operating system command window there. Now copy the relevant add-on installation package, for example, the file with the name as shown here, into the eps/in directory. In the SAP ERP system, select the add-on installation tool with the transaction Saint and choose the menu path installation package, load packages from application server. After the system displays the list of uploaded packages, you can choose back to return to the initial screen of the add-on installation tool. Now we can start with the installation. Log on to your SAP S4HANA system in client 000 as a normal user with SAP_all authorization. Don't use any special users like SAP star or DDIC. Then start the add-on installation tool with the transaction sent and select the PROLOGA add-on. Choose Continue. If all necessary conditions for importing the add-on are fulfilled, the system now displays the relevant installation queue. The queue consists of the installation package and may also contain support packages. In order to start the installation process, choose Continue. For more information, choose the Information button in the application toolbar of the add-on installation tool. And now we've reached a critical milestone and successfully installed the PROLOGA add-on. That said, we can start with the preparations for the backend configuration. The first point in the configuration guide is the correct and successful installation of SAP Gateway. So we have to check in the system which SAP basis version is currently installed. I found information that Enhancement Pack 3 for SAP NetWeaver 7.0 is embedded in SAP Basis 731. If you are uncertain about the Enhancement Pack version number, you may want to check out one of the SAP online support areas. Again, let's quickly check on my system. In SAP GUI, we go to System and then Status. We click on the magnifying glass and in the first line, the SAP Basis version 756, which is higher than 731. So we know we have included the required enhancement packs. Moving back to the presentation. We also need to ensure to have the sufficient rights for several transactions that we are going to use later in the configuration process. Therefore, we need to control if the authorization object as tabunam is correctly assigned for the following transactions. To do so, we look again in SAP GUI. First, we start the interaction SU22. Into the transaction code field, we put /plga/mobconnect_ccnf and hit OK. If you wonder where I got this from, as said earlier, have a second screen with the documentation for you. From there, you can easily copy and paste such transactions. This here is now showing a proposal which authorization objects should be assigned to the transaction code. That example is delivered by PROLOGA with the add-on. The other option is to check one of the roles that also were provided by the add-on. We start with the transaction PFCG, and here we can see, for example, for the role mob customizing, the enabled applications and assigned users. Suggested approach is, if it doesn't already exist, to create a set role with the same assigned transactions and assign this to the own user. One crucial piece of the on-site billing solution is the correct content definition for the transfer to the mobile devices that are used to document the meter reading and printing the bills. During the installation of the add-on, also a specific form is installed to the client 000. You need to create a copy of the form into your target client or clients. Example given 100 or 200. To create this copy, we start in the SAP GUI with the transaction EFRM. In the dialog, please type PLGA FRM mob MR download or copy-paste the file name from the documentation PDF. Make sure to keep the name exactly as is, so that the add-on can read and transfer the data correctly to the mobile devices. After successful copy, make sure to also activate the copies in the target client. Once again, let me show you the steps quickly in the SAP GUI. I could type EFRM, but for now, let me show you the path. Utilities, Tools, Print Workbench, Application Form, Edit. Use the correct name as mentioned. If you don't want to type entire name or copy from documentation, you can also use the quick search and just type /PLGA/*. This will provide you the correct form. If you like, you can review the form and then ensure that you copy the form correctly and also activate it with the commands. The add-on also comes with a classic business add-in enhancement implementation. During installation, this enhancement implementation has been delivered in an inactive state only. Therefore, it now must be activated. The necessary object is PLGA mob download OSB. To activate the body, we can use the transaction SA19. In the dialog, make sure to click on Classic Body and then on Display or Change to check if it is already activated as shown here or to activate it. Again, let me show you the steps quickly in the SAP GUI. We start with the transaction SE19. Hit Radio button Classic Body and type the name. I first click on Display and see here that the business add-in is already activated on my side. In case it is not on your side, switch to Change to enable the Activate button and activate the body. Since it is activated here already, I can't do this, but on your side, make sure to save the changes and continue then. I'll exit at this stage. After activating all the required elements, we can finally connect the backend system to the PROLOGA middleware. To do so, start the transaction as shown here. This connection provides the channel for the order downloading into the middleware. Once started, navigate to the node New Entries, Details of Added Entries. And again, we do this quickly together in the SAP GUI. Here in the SAP GUI, type the transaction or copy it from the documentation. If the mob connect configuration is empty on your side, you may want to use the search again. Click on the Find icon and type OSB. Now you can identify the OSB mob to CCS entry. Select this with a double click and then save the configuration. On my side, I'm going to cancel again here since it is already configured. If needed on your side, we can connect the SAP S4 backend system with an ERP legacy system based on SAP Business Suite on HANA. To do so, we use the transaction as shown here. Please be aware that the shown_x classes are examples from our side and not valid for a production environment. You would need to figure out on your system the project-specific export classes and implement these. Let me quickly show you the steps again. On my side, I copy-paste the transaction from the documentation, put a /n in front and hit Enter. In this dialog, you can now type the classes as needed from your system. Once done, hit Save and exit the view. This brings us to the final mandatory step, defining the meter reader nodes that shall be available and used on the mobile devices and get synced afterwards into the ERP system. Make sure you have collected the required meter reading nodes from your team before. Then you can customize the table by starting the transaction as shown here and in the documentation. If needed, more lines can be added. It can also be specified for which node a site picture is required. Let me also show you this quickly. I've copied the transaction and pasted it into the command field. Add /n in front and hit enter. In this view I can add now new entries if desired, but I'm going to cancel this here. You can also copy an existing entry or delete. If the node shall be available in the mobile device, make sure to check the box in the OSB relevant column. If a picture is required for a specific node, tick the box here. By ticking the box in the block bill column, you can specify that a bill can't be printed with this specific meter reading node. If it should be allowed to finish a tour with such a node, you can specify the finish level in this column to prevent mistakes on meter reader side. Once you've completed the meter reading node definition, hit save and exit the view. This ends the course today on installation and backend configuration for the PROLOGA on-site billing solution. In this course, we were building the two fundamental foundation blocks for a successful implementation of SAP S/4HANA Utilities extension for meter-to-cash processes by PROLOGA, the installation of the add-on, and the backend configuration. Stay tuned to this channel as we will soon add another video focusing on the first important steps of the front-end configuration. If this course was helpful and has shed some light on your questions regarding a potential implementation, a thumbs up would be great feedback. If you have more detailed feedback, please send an email to info@prologa.com or leave a comment here. We'd be happy to answer any questions in more detail. Hope we talk soon about your potential projects and how we from PROLOGA can support you on your path. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.